Metal Jesus, I'm back again with another pickups video. Now, it's been a while since I've done one of these videos, and in that time, I've been lucky enough to add some of my holy grail games to my collection. These are games that I look for every day in thrift stores and on Craigslist and online, just to add them, to my collection for a reasonable price. And I've been very lucky to do that. I can't wait to show you guys. And that's been a combination of, like I mentioned, looking on Craigslist and sort of myself, and also the very generous donations from fans of my channel. As a matter of fact, some of the best stuff came from them. I can't wait to show you guys some really cool stuff. In addition to that, you guys know that I love music and I collect vinyl. At the end of this video, I'm going to show you some of that as well. All right, let's get to it. Right off the bat, I want to show something really cool. A fan of my channel, his name's Jason, sent me 4 original NES reproduction carts. These are carts that basically he creates from ROM hacks. He creates from, perhaps it's an original Japanese game that didn't come out in North America, and it's modified, or maybe it's fan translated, things like that. Some really interesting stuff here. He actually sent these to me a while ago, and I had meant to do a dedicated video on it. I just haven't been able to meet with John Hancock to do it yet, but he sent me Sweet Home. This is like a survival horror game, and look at this splashed blood on the cartridge here. I mean, that just looks freaking awesome. So cool. Here's Rockman Exile. And I guess this might be a modified version of Rockman 2 or something like that. Haven't played it much. The Tower of Radia. Great label on this one right here. And then Earthbound Zero. Pretty interesting. I love the rich red color here. It's awesome looking. So if you guys are interested in reproduction carts, he does an incredible job. He actually has a Facebook page. Highly recommend you check it out. It's pretty cool. He also does Super Nintendo and a bunch of other stuff. He also tells how to make them. Very cool guy. So thank you very much, Jason. Here's a cool little find I found in a thrift store for the PlayStation 1. It's X-Men versus Street Fighter. This is a Capcom game, and I found it for $3. And I know this is a kind of hard to find game. A lot of people are looking for it. It's a fighter. It's a 2D fighter. So pretty cool to have one of these. Maybe you guys have seen my Wii Hidden Gems videos. Well, I get a lot of feedback on those videos, and the #1 game that everyone says I need to add to my collection, and I mean this is across all of those videos. I didn't have it until recently, and that is called Fragile Dreams, Farewell Ruin of the Moon. Really glad to get this. It's an Xseed game. Haven't played it yet, and if I do a 4th version of those Hidden Gems for the Wii, I'll have to make sure that this is on there. Thanks for the recommendations. My good buddy Reggie has been on my channel before, and he swung by and donated a couple games to me. Thanks, Reggie, including Valkyrie Profile Covenant of the Plume on the Nintendo DS. And I don't know if this is a sequel or a remake. I have the PSP version, and I know that there's a PlayStation 1 version, I think. But anyway, so don't know much about this, but I'm always looking for Nintendo DS games. And he also turned me on to the Neo Geo Pocket Color, and he gave me a copy of King of Fighters for the Neo Geo. So this is pretty cool. As a matter of fact, Reggie is going to swing by here probably in a couple weeks, and we are going to do a dedicated video all about the Neo Geo handheld. So I can't wait to do that. Another fan of my channel, his name's Greg, sent me a box of games that I thought was pretty interesting. Some games I didn't own, and a game that I used to actually have to support at Sierra. It was kind of cool to get that. The first one here, he sent me a copy of Sonic CD on the Sega CD. Very cool. You know, I have the iPad version, which I know is kind of blasphemous, but it's actually a pretty decent version. I've never owned this before. I actually don't own the Sega CD attachment, so looking for one of those, but I'm slowly building up my collection. So when I do get one, this is gonna be one of the first games I play. He also sent me a game that, like I said, I used to support at Sierra. And this is unopened. It's pretty funny. This is called Caesar 2. And when this game came out, this is by a company called Impressions that we published. I love this game. I thought it was a really cool kind of city building game. And it was actually really popular. This got some great reviews, and this is completely sealed and in great condition. I didn't own a big box version of this, so thanks very much, Greg. While out and about recently, off of Craigslist, I found a pretty cool game. That is the big box original release for Baldur's Gate on the PC. And this is the one with the flap. And as you can tell, the box is in great condition. What's pretty cool about this is that it's brand new, and basically I got it for $5. I showed up there and the guy had, it's open, but there's like a little kind of binder in there where all the discs are, and that still has the seal on it. So it's actually pretty cool. It's got the maps, it's got all the stuff in there. Love Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2, so it's cool to own that. And also, off of Craigslist, this is a pretty hard to find box. This is for Half-Life 2. This is the collector's edition. Everything is in here except for one thing, and that's the one thing that everybody wants, and that's the t-shirt. When this originally came out, it had a t-shirt in it, and I guess the guy wore it or whatever. So, but this actually can, even the box alone can command, you know, maybe $100, $130. And so it's cool to have this. I will eventually get that t-shirt. I recently picked up some PlayStation 3 games. That's because my PlayStation 3 is, it's a little ignored. It's a little, I don't know what it is. I just don't typically add a lot of PlayStation 3 games. And so I thought, you know what, now's the time. There was a sale. I got all of these for about $60 total, including Majin, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Majin and the Forsaken Kingdom. This is a game that a lot of people say is a total hidden gem on the PS3. And I guess it's like a third-person action-adventure game, maybe a role-playing game. I have no idea, but cool to own that. I also picked up a copy of Crysis 2. I know this game is kind of old, and most people have moved on, but you know, when you can pick this up for $11, this is what I paid for it. I thought that's a pretty good deal. Here's another game that a lot of people say is a total hidden gem, and that is called El Shaddai. I think I'm pronouncing that right. My wife and I played this a little bit the other night just to kind of check it out. One of the weirdest, kind of most bizarre games that we played in quite a while. And, you know, at first you're just like, what the hell is this game? You know, it's about angels and it's got this weird environment, but I was strangely addicted to it. So I'm gonna be playing that some more. Also picked up here, you know, it's got Vin Diesel, so it must be good. Wheelman. I love driving games, and this game seems kind of interesting, and, you know, I want to say it was maybe $4, so who knows. And then finally for the PlayStation 3 is Brother in Arms, Hell's Highway. A lot of people say this is a fantastic shooter, so didn't pay a lot for it. I want to say this was probably $6 or $8, and you know, I need more games for my PlayStation 3. Here's a PlayStation 2 game that I've kind of run across and have been curious about. I finally just bought it, and I haven't played much of it yet, but it sounds pretty interesting. It's by Atlas. It's a driving role-playing game from Japan called Chorokyu. Chorokyu? I have no idea. That's a weird name. But anyways, like I mentioned, it's like this full-on RPG. I mean, there's different chapters in the story, and it's all based around cars and driving, which just sounds so bizarre. I can't wait to try this game. I don't imagine it's like great, but you know, when you pay just a couple bucks for it, I'm willing to take a chance. Next up, I added a bunch of Game Boy Advance games. I was actually going on vacation and taking my Game Boy Advance, and I wanted some new games for it. So I picked these up. I kind of did some research to see which are, you know, some hidden gems, some games that are a little less known. And the first one here is Lilo and Stitch. This is a Disney game based on the movie. I think it's Lilo or Lilo. I don't know. I've never seen the movie. I heard it's decent, but this is a really interesting run and gun game, almost like Metal Slug, and it's surprisingly fun. Who knew, right? So that was kind of cool to find. Also, I like Rayman, and Rayman Advance on the Game Boy Advance is actually a really good game and highly rated. So picked up a copy of that. And then also, I'm on a bit of a Star Wars kick, And I was like, well, what Star Wars games are good on the Game Boy Advance? And I found a complete copy of Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Now, this looks like it would be, you know, a mediocre game, but it actually got really good reviews. And you'll see here later, I've added a couple of the Star Wars games. Ultimately, I want to do a big Star Wars video game video. You know what I mean? Like, I want to do like an overview of just like hidden gems and my favorites and all that sort of stuff. So I'm kind of on the lookout for anything that is Star Wars related that people like. And it's cool to add this. A fan of my channel, Ryan, sent a bunch of games to me. And I'm only going to show one. He actually sent a bunch of like Sega Master System games and also Game Gear games. Some stuff I didn't have in my collection to kind of fill it out a little bit. But he also included in there 2 PC games that I thought were pretty cool. Now, I've mentioned it before. I was in this video game while I was working at Sierra. It's called Shivers 2. So he actually sent me, I didn't have a big box copy of Shivers 1. So he sent me this. And it's in great condition. And then he also sent me another copy of Shivers 2, the big box version as well. So yeah, these are very interesting games. This is Sierra's take on Myst. So when Myst came out, it kind of blew people away. Sierra at the time was doing a lot of hand-drawn kind of 16-bit art, and Myst came out and it was fully rendered, you know, 3D. And so this was Sierra's take on that. These are horror games, as you know, the name sort of implies. And then, yeah, so Shivers 1 and 2. Thanks very much, Ryan. And now I'm gonna get to the part that I'm really excited about. These games here are games I've been wanting to add to my collection for years. Most of these I had when they were originally released, and like an idiot, you know, you get the games, and you throw away the boxes. Everyone knows the story. So getting these back in my collection complete has been really awesome. I'm gonna start with the games that I found while I was out and about. I love Deus Ex, and the big box version of Deus Ex is getting very hard to find for a reasonable price. And I don't know if this is the original box, I don't remember, but it's in great condition, and it's cool to have this. Love Deus Ex, is one of my favorite games of all time. And on Craigslist, I found a copy of this game. Now, this game is getting very expensive to buy online. I've seen this game sell for $100 up to $300 with this box. I paid $3 for it, and that is System Shock 2. One of the greatest first-person shooters, so awesome. It has that foil cover on it, and you know, the box is not in amazing condition, but still, just to have it in my collection, so awesome. One of my favorite games ever. I mentioned Star Wars games. I had this and, like I said, tossed the box. It's cool to get this again. It's Star Wars Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2. This box is in great condition. I think this box might be a reissue. I don't think it's the original one, but that's okay. I don't care. It looks good. Here is Morrowind 3 Game of the Year Edition. And this has the game. It has the Tribunal expansion pack on here. It also has Blood Moon. Cool to own that. And then I was on vacation in this little dinky town, and they had this really small thrift store. And I was like, you know, maybe they got something in there. I have no idea. They had something in there. They had a brand new, unopened, still in the shrink wrap copy of the original Duke Nukem 3D. Now this is the shareware version. I think this is actually the first version. I don't know if this is, I don't know the history of this. I suspect this is either came out before or at the same time. A lot of games back then would have a shareware version, and that's what this is. So I thought this is pretty cool. You don't really see Duke Nukem unopened anymore, and I thought this was pretty awesome. The box is in great condition, so really excited to find that, and you know, pay like $2 for it. For those of you that listen to the All Gen Gamers podcast that I'm one of the hosts on, also Pete Dorr and Gamester and also Jason Heine, a couple months ago we had a guy on there who is a collector from the Netherlands. His name is Dr. Retro, and the reason why we had him on there is because, well, frankly, he has some of the most amazing pickups videos that I've ever seen. Every week he finds stuff that's incredible. And it turns out it's because he doesn't have really a lot of competition and he just gets amazing stuff. And he wanted to donate to my channel. And this is what he sent me. Some of my dream games to get. Let's just show you what he sent me. System Shock. Now, System Shock's getting really hard to find complete in the box, and this is in great condition. So amazing, but that's not it. He knows I worked at Sierra, and one of my favorite games while at Sierra was A-10 Tank Killer. This is Silent Thunder. Such a cool flight sim that we used to put out. Also, another one of my favorite games back in the day was Mission Force Cyberstorm. And this takes place in the Earthsiege universe. So if you're familiar with Earthsiege, Starsiege, or Tribes, this is one of those companion games. And it's a turn-based strategy game, kind of similar to, I think it was probably modeled after maybe Command and Conquer. I thought it was pretty cool at the time, but that's not it. He also sent me a box copy, complete, Wing Commander 3, Heart of the Tiger. These games are some of my favorites. Wing Commander 1 and 2, 3 and 4. I already have 4, now I've got 3. Strike Commander, all these Chris Roberts games were just so awesome. And this box is beautiful. And then the final game he sent me is one that's getting damn hard to find, especially in its big box. I've never seen it in its big box. Mostly it was sold in stores here in North America in its jewel case only. It was like one of those budget things that you'd see like at Target. But he had the big box version of Shogo Mobile Armor Division. Now, maybe not a lot of people have heard of this game. It's too bad. It's a awesome mech first-person shooting game that is frankly one of my favorites. This game is awesome. This game is so killer. Even today, as a matter of fact, I played and reviewed it just a couple months ago, and it was so awesome. Now, you guys know that I don't often do shout outs to other channels, and that's because I just want to make sure that if I do a shout out, it's to something that's excellent. And I do have to say, and it's not because he gave me games. I've been a subscriber for a long time. I watch all of his videos all the time, but I do want to say that if you are into collection videos and pickups videos, frankly, they're some of the best on the entire interwebs. It's awesome. Go subscribe to Dr. Retro. I'll put a link in this video and also down below. He does awesome stuff. You'll be really blown away. Honestly, I don't think there's much he doesn't find. I think he probably finds everything that most people are looking for, and usually it's complete in the box. So I don't know, I just can't say enough things about it. Thank you very much for sending me those. I really appreciate it. All right, and then finally, as promised, I want to show you some of the music vinyl I picked up. This is a kind of unusual record to find in North America, and that is AC/DC's High Voltage. Now, if you're a casual AC/DC fan, you're like, well, that sounds familiar. They already have an album like that. No, not like this. This was their very first release, I believe, in Australia. And then what happened was that they put out an album here and it had different songs on it. So what's cool about this is that this actually has songs that have never been on an official AC/DC release. At least, I think some of these are on the box set, but anyways, this is pretty cool to find. Found at a local shop. Another awesome album, not really rare, but it's cool, and that is Scorpions' Love at First Sting. One of my favorite Scorpions albums. It's so awesome. I'm gonna go through these rather quickly here. Rush, Moving Pictures. I didn't have Moving Pictures. And every Rush fan has to have this album. I mean, so many great songs are on here, like Tom Sawyer, Red Barchetta, YYZ, or YYZ, I guess. Limelight, it just goes on and on. This is a great album. And then also, I've been getting into Crocus lately. Metal Rendezvous from Crocus. Crocus is actually pretty badass. I like this band quite a bit. It's good rock and roll. One of my all-time favorite albums, I don't know if it's in my top 10, but it's in my top 20, and it's because I can go back to it time and time again. I love it to death. It is Pink Floyd Animals, and I think a lot of people feel that this is kind of a dark album. Not everyone loves it, Me personally, I think it's a perfect album. I listened to it from beginning to end. It's so awesome, and I'm not sick of it. Here is a great album, Heavy Metal, the soundtrack to the animated movie. If you haven't seen the animated Heavy Metal movie, you need to check it out. If you can be drunk or high, you know, that sometimes helps. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying that, you know, that's what you did in the 80s. The soundtrack rocks. It's got Black Sabbath, Blue Oyster Cult, Cheap Trick, Devo, so much good stuff. Sammy Hagar, Journey's on here, ton of great stuff. Awesome soundtrack. And then finally here, I have been getting into jazz a bit, and Dave Brubeck creates some of my favorite. This is a classic here called Time Out. This is a really, really cool jazz album. If you want to get into jazz and you don't know where to start, this is a good album to do it in, because it's great from beginning to end. So that's some of the stuff I've added to my collection. I wish I could show you everything, but of course there's just not enough time. And thank you to everyone who donates to my collection. I know you don't have to do that. I know you could go out and sell it, or you know, turn it into a pawn shop or take it to a thrift store. And I appreciate it that you give it to me and I get to put it in my collection. I don't take that for granted at all. As always, I want to thank you for watching my channel, and thanks for subscribing, and try to stay cool.